Hello, folks, and welcome to the Accessible Hunter podcast. I'm along with my partner in crime, Greg Trainer. We're excited about today. We've got some folks in from South Carolina. We're going to highlight them. But, Greg, man, how are things in PA, brother?
Man, I'm doing really well, Mike. I'm enjoying this, kind of cooler temperatures. It's in the 80s, and Beth and I are getting down to the farmhouse pretty regular and cutting grass and harvesting honey and making some chapstick this week. So I'm always looking forward to that. I think I have a addiction to our homemade chapstick. So that's been our focus this week.
You said that in the past, man. I'm gonna have to get some and try it out. But I did see too. You guys were doing honey bottling with vanilla extract. What's that about, dude? It looked awesome.
Dude, Beth is going to be retiring next year, and we're starting off on a little farmers market adventure with Churchwarden honey, and she's been bottling up some vanilla extract because it takes about a year to sit in the jars to make. And I sent you the very first label of Churchwarden honey with vanilla extract. So we're excited about it to give it out to friends and family for gifts this year, and kind of get the ball rolling with that.
Well, it looked fantastic, man. That's no exaggeration. But, I hear all these people talk about retirement. I don't know what that's about. Everybody says it, but it just seems like you transpire and move and change trajectories right into something just as busy as other work. But
Dude, I told her we're going to probably end up putting 60 hours a week into Churchward and Honey instead of working for somebody else. She'll just be working for herself.
there you go. And that's the way it should be, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But hey, man, it's time to transition. We're excited today. We got Miss Sarah Kinney on today, Miss Wheelchair, South Carolina, and I was blessed enough to be able to do some advocacy work with her last month, and just being able to chat with her, phenomenal young lady, and I'm excited to hear more about pageants and whatnot, and and really get our guest out there. But Miss Sarah, how are you this morning?
Hello. Hello, Mike. Hello, Greg. It's great to be with you guys.
Very,
Absolutely, we're beyond blessed.
Yeah, it's super nice to be on this podcast and get to share a little bit about what I'm doing.
it's very nice that you take the time out of your day to talk with us. And I'm excited for today's podcast. Mike has been telling me a little bit about you, and I really appreciate what you're doing for advocacy and everything you're doing down in South Carolina. It's important work.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting couple months since the crowning and since our state title competition that happened back in, I think it was the first weekend of April. And yeah, it's been off to the races since. And then gearing up, I think I leave in 2 weeks from this weekend for Michigan for nationals. So
Wow.
yeah, it's coming up real quick.
It's a busy road. People don't understand. When you get into these things, you don't really understand all the endeavors that you may face.
Yeah. Oh, no, completely. I was like, oh gosh, yeah, I'm having to be my own PR person, my own marketing person. I'm having to get all up and down, the state to do all these appearances. I've got one more between now and nationals. I'm going to be in Columbia, so the capital of South Carolina, to do a like daytime talk show recording at the WIS
Wow.
affiliate there. So yeah,
Hey, I'm glad we caught you before you became a superstar.
yeah, it's been fun. Those have been some fun. I did one up in Greenville and then one here in the CSRA over across the border in Augusta.
Yeah.
Two other kind of like daytime talk show things. It was really a cool experience to get to see like how the sausage is made, so to speak, with news.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Sarah, for the folks that haven't followed you on Facebook or
Hmm.
Instagram yet, would you mind introducing yourself a little bit and maybe telling a little bit about your background and
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. So I have been in a chair my whole life. My disability, it's called central core disease. So it's a congenital myopathy, a muscle weakness from birth.
Mhm.
It's kind of akin to like muscular dystrophy, but it doesn't progress the way that muscular dystrophy does. So I'm just weak overall, like upper body strength, lower body strength is lung strength is awful. So yeah, I've been in a chair my whole life. I'm born and raised out in California, where the opportunities for people with disabilities kind of is at an all-time high. I played a lot of wheelchair sports growing up. I did a lot of camps growing up. I was always really active in the chair community out there in Southern California. And I think that really kind of gave me a lot of self-confidence to know that like, I'm not alone in this, that there are other kids, other people out there. I had a lot of great role models, people, when I was kind of a, tween teenager, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s that I could look up to and be like, oh, I can actually like go and have a great full life, for my future. And then so I, did all the things, graduated high school, got a car, learned to drive, went to college. I was out in a school out in California for 2 years. And then my parents decided they wanted to move to Aiken, South Carolina. My mom wanted a horse, um, which Aiken is a beautiful horse country here. And so they moved to South Carolina, and I kind of said, well, never lived anywhere else. Let me kind of expand my horizons. And so I transferred to the University of South Carolina in Columbia and finished up last 2.5 years of college there, and then moved down to Aiken where they were living, and got a job and met my husband now, and have, we've got a beautiful house with a great backyard with a pool, and kind of living the little American dream here. So yeah, it's been a great life, and I think that I have a unique perspective, kind of my vantage point, a little lower than everyone else's. And so I maybe see things that others don't. And I think that my entire life I've been an advocate and never really knew that I was being an advocate for the disability community. When you're young, you don't want to stick out. You don't want to be different. You don't want to like draw attention to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you maybe like you shy away from taking any kind of like official role for that. But as you get older, you realize that you're always a representative for whatever community whatever demographic you live in, right? Whatever demographic you identify with. And so I think I've always kind of taught people about life with a disability, either meaning to or not meaning to. Every now and again, I'd, get on social media and share something specific about my disability or about life with a disability.
Sarah, just living your life, we're an example to people around us, whether we want to be or not, just because we stand out. So, if you're doing something good and you're passionate about something, people see it. If you're doing something negative, people see it. So we're actually representing a community, whether we want to or not.
Right.
And you kind of unpacked a whole lot of things that you glossed over. And one of the things I kind of picked up on was wheelchair sports being younger, because my injury happened later in life at 31, and I didn't grow up in the disabled community. But what were some of the sports that you got to participate in as a team?
Oh my God, I did everything as a kid. So I grew up in Southern California. I grew up in Orange County. So I was between, LA, Long Beach, and San Diego. And so I would go up to the like LA, Long Beach, Downey, California area. There's actually a great rehab facility in Downey, Las Floristas, and they would sponsor a youth sports program called Rancho, which I believe is still happening, and is still pretty active. But I played basketball, I played hockey, I played tennis, rugby, even though obviously not a quad, so couldn't really like doing anything official. But all of the sports, I mean,
Well,
I played
that's what
every
makes
game.
it fun. I
It was
mean,
so much
hey,
fun. So much fun.
right.
Yeah.
But people don't know, the folks that don't know about wheelchair sports on this podcast.
Yeah.
When you start talking about rugby, the other name for it's murder ball.
Murder ball. Oh,
Absolutely.
obsessed with that documentary.
No
So yeah.
doubt. No
And
Yeah.
doubt.
and you never think about hockey in California,
Yeah.
ice
Like
ice
street
hockey, sled
hockey. Yeah.
hockey. And when people are wondering, well, what opportunities are out there for people with
Oh,
disabilities in the
everything.
sporting world? Anything,
Everything. Right.
anything that you want to do,
Name it and
you
it's
know,
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's right, Sarah. That's
And
right.
we
It's
try to
great.
tell people
And
all the time, anything that you can do prior, you
yeah.
can do, or, like in your case, you grew up doing it and you didn't know any different. You just stayed
Yeah.
after it.
Yeah. And I loved it so much. I loved like the team aspect of it.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
loved like the strategy of sport.
Hmm.
Now, because my disability, it's a muscle weakness, there got to be a point, I was always on like a co-ed team, and there got to be a
Right.
point where the guys were just, I just couldn't keep up anymore because my
Sure.
Mhm.
limited
Well,
muscle
that and
capacity.
fatigue just in
But
general.
yeah, exactly. So I think that I kind of called it on my
Right.
sporting career when I was, 12, 13.
Well,
But
that's
and I
good.
ended up getting involved in some other things. I was really involved in like theater and choirs and
And
things.
see,
Right.
that's where I was getting ready to go. Greg pinned you on the sporting aspect.
Mhm.
I've got to know pageants. How'd that come about?
Honestly, this is my first pageant.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't I was never a pageant girl. And I think that that just wasn't something in my frame of reference or my
Right.
family culture. So it wasn't anything that I grew up around. But I did know of this organization, of the Miss Wheelchair America organization.
Okay.
I've known about them for years. They've been around for years. I want to say since the 70s, 80s.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So it's got a long legacy. I've had a lot of friends who have gone through it for their respective states, and then made it all the way. I know somebody who was the national title holder a couple years ago. So it's been something that I've definitely like seen what their mission is, which is really just to empower and uplift women with disabilities and the disability community at large, and to be an advocate. And so I said, well, why not this year? Why not me? So yeah, I just thought that it would be something fun to do. I have a little spare
Heck,
time on my hands this year, apparently.
Right. But
yeah, we've had the opportunity to speak with a few people
Yeah.
involved with the Miss Wheelchair
Okay.
pageants, and it's amazing the advocacy that you guys
Mm,
do, that you women do, I should say, and we kind of enjoy following along because you take that platform and you advocate for others,
yeah.
and you talk about the issues that affect everyone with disabilities,
Yeah.
and it's a really good platform.
Yeah, yeah, it's really great, and it's really cool to see the variety of interests
Mhm.
across the country, and what each lady wants to focus on. I was doing an interview last week with two other state title holders, who I'll be meeting in person in August, but they're both coming at their platforms focus on mental health,
Mhm.
with people in the disability community. So and that's something that I think affects everyone at some level. So yeah, it's
yeah.
really it's really cool to see the variety of interests.
Well, you just hit something else. How many title holders are there for each state?
Mm. For each state, there's one title holder.
Okay.
So we were the capacity would be 50, right? Maybe
Right.
51 if you add DC. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know where their jurisdiction lies. But not every state has a state level
Rep.
program,
Gotcha.
unfortunately. So I know that I want to say that there are at least 11 independent state title holders this year. So they're the first from their state, essentially. And I want to say that total there were like 35 states with a title holder this year.
Okay.
So we're almost there, getting there.
Absolutely.
It's a big, it to be a state organizer is a big commitment. So I can, understand why that might be daunting for some. But in South Carolina, we're lucky that we've got an existing and established organization.
Sarah, you had mentioned the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, go Cox.
Don't. No.
What did you major in, and is that kind of helped you with the pageant process?
Maybe. I majored in history.
I love history.
Hey, me too.
Yeah,
I'm undergrad history.
Yeah, I majored
history
in
undergrad.
history. And I think for a minute I thought I wanted to teach like high school history. I had great high school history teachers myself, middle school history teachers. And then I did like a semester in high school, like a shadow, and I said, no, this is not this is not my path.
Right.
So, I graduated with a liberal arts degree, which shows you can read, write, speak, and BS pretty well, I would have
Right.
So I ended up getting my career for the last 15 plus years now has been in the GovCon world, so government contracting.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I've worked for contractors with Department of Energy, Department of Defense. I'm currently with the DOW contractor right now. So yeah, it's been a great career.
When you were at school, did you receive any type of accommodations, and how were the accommodations at South Carolina?
Yeah. So I lived on campus all 4 years of college out in California and in South Carolina for my last 2.5. And I lived in a on-campus apartment that was accessible. The one in South Carolina was like in the very historic part of campus on the Horseshoe, which that was dealing with a lot of old buildings and things that were probably not super, I don't know. It was fun. It was an experience. Great roommates. But yeah, so I had, the apartment with the roll-in shower and all of that. And then otherwise accommodations, I've not really had many, accommodations in an official capacity through universities or schools or anything like that. Trying to think.
Well, I had a question that just popped in my head. Talking about accommodations, people don't understand, and I'm sure this is nationally, but statewide in South Carolina, especially Clemson, Carolina, what was it like for you as a wheelchair user in that historic district right there on campus for game days? Because a lot of times, especially like at Clemson, the students have to move their cars because you have IPTAY parking, people moving in. That's, something, wow. You got thousands of people coming in. What do they do for that?
Game day at South Carolina, the Williams-Brice Stadium is not near campus. It's way down south of campus. So I'm trying to think back now. It's been 16, 17 years or longer. I remember, getting my car. I drove a PT Cruiser in college that was adapted. So I drove from my chair. And I would drive down to the tailgating area. I was in a sorority in college, so we would have our own little spot down there, a little tailgate area, and then walk into the stadium with my friends. And I would get with my student ticket, I would get one person that could accompany me in the accessible seating area. And so my girlfriends would like switch off each like quarter of the game when we
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
hang out, and then everybody would go back up to the student section.
Well, I
Yeah,
got to give you guys a shout out. I'm a big big
yeah.
Clemson fan, but me and my buddy buy season tickets, and where his seats are, he's a big Gamecock fan. We're right
Mm-hmm.
in the hedge bushes. I
Yeah,
do love that. So when they kick a field goal, man, you better
yeah,
watch out.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the only positive for Carolina football.
Yeah, the student seating, the accessible student seating, at least back when I was there, and I haven't sat in those seats in quite some time, since I was a student. Was like, yeah, right below like where the band would play.
Yeah,
And so like right in front of like, where the student cheering, the guy, the
right.
spirit guide kind of guy. That was always really fun. Now the last couple times I've been to a game, we've been in like my husband got us like with he's in real estate, so he got tickets to go
Boxes
like
or
the
whatever.
presidential seat, like right next to like where the
All
governor's
the
box
fancy
is at the
people.
top. Oh, it
Yeah,
was so nice. I was like, oh, this is how the other half lives.
Right.
exactly. A little bit of an
Oh,
upgrade there.
they have
It
Yeah.
was
AC.
nice.
What is that about?
Yeah.
Right.
It was so nice. But yeah, game days were always super fun, really chaotic. At when you're 19, 20, 21, you can put up with a lot,
Sure.
and put yourself in situations that when you're pushing 40, you might not
Oh yeah.
really have the patience for. So I don't know if I
Understood.
would find myself in a lot of those situations today that I used to.
Sarah, I'm sure you have platform issues as a
Mm,
representative for South Carolina and,
yeah,
using your position. I know you mentioned that you're going to be going for the national pageant in
yeah.
Michigan, but
Right.
what are some of the things that you're working on to improve in South Carolina or
Mm.
some of the things that are important to you personally?
Yeah, so my platform specifically focuses on accessible parking, and educating the mass, general population about the importance of accessible parking and what access aisles are actually for, because a lot of people
Right.
do not understand it, which is like baffling to me.
Right.
But got to meet people where they are. And there is a great app called Parking Mobility that
Hmm.
has existed for years that I think would be a great thing to use more readily in South Carolina. We're in a data collecting stage right now. The more people that actively use it, which allows you to basically cite, uh, put in like take photos of parking violations. Um, the more people that use it, the more data we have that we can then go to municipalities and say, hey, would you like to actually partner with this app? And then, there would be a ticket being issued for those type of violations. And it would be more like citizen enforced,
Right.
rather than relying on the police for
Yeah.
the city, which they're already stretched so thin. We know that's not really a priority for them, unfortunately. So yeah, there's so much room for improvement. We're watching, states like what's recently happened in Florida with the pregnant women law.
Right. Signage and
Yeah,
yeah.
or that they can get, that they're able to get handicap placards regardless of like actually
Disability.
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
that's always been the crux, is trying to talk to doctors, stop handing them out like Tic
Yeah,
Tacs,
yeah.
and
And
stick to
so
the people that need them.
yeah, and so there was recent legislation introduced in committee in South Carolina that would essentially have been the same thing. Two bills, one in the House, one in the Senate. It is my understanding that those kind of stalled out, in February. So
Right.
hopefully that's the case and that they do not resurrect. I think Able, South Carolina has a good handle on that. So yeah, it's
And
been educating for me to see how
Good.
uneducated some people are.
and
Yeah.
and that's the right word to use too, Sarah, is educating people because
Mm,
If you don't use a wheelchair or you don't have a significant disability that impairs your mobility, you
Mm,
may not think this is a big deal.
yeah.
But, you drove from your wheelchair, and that means you have to open your driver's side
Yeah.
car door,
Yeah.
get your wheelchair across your body and out. And if people are blocking that stripe section or
Yeah.
Right.
parking too close to you that you can't get in or out of your vehicle, you're stuck there. You know,
Absolutely.
as a power wheelchair user, um, a lot of times my first vans were minivans, and I had the door on the side where my ramp would deploy out the side. And if
Right.
somebody parked too close, I
Yeah.
I couldn't get back into my van, and I
Yeah.
couldn't
And
get
that's
out of.
that's what I have now. I've got I drive the Chevy Traverse
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
conversion.
And
So it's a van conversion essentially, and it has the long, and they've got the little sticker on the side that says please leave what eight
Eight
feet or
feet.
yep,
something.
Yeah.
Nobody
but
reads that.
but people will continually park
Yeah.
beside you. And
Yeah.
what my wife and I went to is a full size Dodge ProMaster. So imagine a giant Amazon delivery van, and I have
Mm,
the ramp going out the back, though it's a lift going out
okay.
the back. And,
Yeah.
and we went with a much bigger van so that I could haul two wheelchairs, my outdoor chair as well as my
Nice.
everyday wheelchair. But people still will park behind us if we're not careful, and,
Yeah.
and block our access. So for the folks that are listening that think, oh, maybe parking's not a big deal, it's a huge deal for people with
Yeah.
disabilities.
And I think that it's more than just not being able to get in and out of the car.
Right.
It's there's a level of, so there's a couple things that I want to touch on. Is like
Absolutely.
one is the confronting of someone, like that's an unsafe situation to be in.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I found myself, I am not very confrontational, but I want to stand up for myself and my community. And so I, I don't know who it is that I'm going to be talking to in that
Correct.
moment. I don't know what their,
Right.
state of
Right.
mind is. And, if I'm saying, hey, can you move your car because of XYZ, because I can't get in, or that's not a parking spot, I've been met with some really not pleasant
Yes.
reciprocating vibes.
Yes.
And it's a scary and unsafe situation.
Yep.
So that's one thing. And then, like, yeah, I could park way down the parking lot and take two spots and then walk, all the way front. Like, I'm fine to do that. My only issue is that I am very short. I
Right.
am so short. And if you are backing up in a car
Mhm.
and your car does not have, you know, the modern sensors that they have today to
Yep.
warn you of something, I might get hit by somebody backing up in a parking
Yep.
lot, right?
Right.
So there's so much more about,
Safety.
there's a lot more to it than just not being able to get in and out of a vehicle. Like, that's a huge
Mhm.
thing, because that prevents us from making, medical appointments,
Appointments.
getting
Yep.
to jobs, getting to church, getting to just being able to enjoy life with your family and friends and
Well,
doing what you
that's what
want to do.
people I was going to say
Yeah.
that's what people don't understand. It's not that we're trying to get upfront parking. Here's the
No.
kicker. Guys like me and Greg, we can't sweat. On
Yeah.
days that it's 100 degrees,
Yeah.
if I'm stuck, say at Walmart or whatever,
Yeah.
I've got to defensively park because if I come out, cannot get in my vehicle and I'm on my own, now
Yeah.
I'm stuck waiting on you to get done
Yeah.
with whatever endeavor for however
All right.
long. Now I'm stuck. I don't
Yeah.
have an
Mhm.
option of climbing over a seat. And
Yeah.
so, and then you bring up the safety values of being, I'm short as well. I can raise my chair up, so I have that
Hmm.
advantage. But at the same token, I'm gonna end up a hood ornament,
Yep.
Yeah.
and so it really makes for an awkward situation when it doesn't need to be.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
if
It's really, um, it's unfortunate that it takes, and it's the same for so many topics in our
Sure.
culture, right?
Yep.
That it takes knowing someone and having firsthand experience with it, for people to be able to grasp these abstract
yes,
Right.
concepts, right? So I don't know. it's a whack-a-mole thing
Right.
there. I don't know if there will ever be a 100%
No.
solution, but I want to try to do
No.
what I can while I can, and yeah,
That's what we can do.
exactly.
But you had said at the very beginning of the podcast, advocating is educating. And
Yeah,
Yep.
once people realize, it's important for XYZ to be
Hmm.
happening, I think you don't have to harp on it so much that, we're not asking for special treatment. We're
yeah,
asking to be safe transferring into our vehicles. We're
yeah.
asking to be safe going through the parking lot. And one of the things that really surprised me whenever I first became a wheelchair user was with accessible parking, if it's a private parking lot, police don't even, write
No.
citations.
Yeah, it's not
You
Can.
needed. No.
you can call the police department and say, hey, there's,
Right.
no accessible parking because it's taken up with people without tags. And this has happened to me quite often. And they say, well, Mr. Trainer, we're not allowed in
That's
shop
it.
shop and save parking lot. The
Yeah,
the
Yep.
owners the owners of shop and save don't want us to enforce that
There
on
you
their
go.
customers. So, you're almost park at your own risk and kind of problem solve and plan ahead what you have to do just to be safe.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. You're really uh, relying on everyone to do their part, which is a
Yes.
scary and fraught situation to be put in, right?
Yes, ma'am.
and it brings me up to something else, Sarah. As a quadriplegic, how do you do? I know you got better hand function and whatnot, but how do you do being shorter in your vehicle when we have to use parking garages so much more now? And when you
Mm.
go in, reaching over to hit
Oh,
the
reaching
button.
over?
Oh
Yeah.
my
So I,
gosh.
yeah, I if my husband is with me, I'm like, can you push
Right.
me? Can you
Yeah,
push me
yeah,
a
yeah.
little? Push my shoulder
Yeah.
to reach out, or he'll run around and grab it if I really can't. Yeah, those are really bad, and I I'm noted. It's like a case by case. Obviously, every
Sure.
system is different, and so it's like, am I the right height in my giant SUV, or
Yep.
is it too short now? I don't know.
It's a
It,
nightmare.
it is a
It,
nightmare. It
And they're
really
doing
is.
more and more of our airports like that. Like
Yeah.
Greenville, GSP, they put in all the little retaining
Mm.
gates and fences. So now you got to enter a card to show your receipt when you got there to park, just so they can tell you how much you owe. And I'm
Yeah.
like, look, man, I got hand dexterity issues. You want me to
Yeah.
put in a receipt? Now you're asking me to put in a card? And God
Yeah.
forbid I drop either one of those things. I
No,
can't
they
get
should
out.
really have at least one live human ticket box
yeah.
there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, everything is going the way of AI, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
While we're on all this accessibility
Right.
in the great outdoors of America,
mm,
we recently celebrated the 36th anniversary of the ADA.
Correct.
we
And
did.
Sarah, what do you think we need to be pushing besides accessible parking? What do you think some of the big issues are that we need to be talking about?
Oh man, there's a lot. I think that obviously, like more like preserving funding for home-based care is
Yeah.
really important. I think that keeping people in the community that they
Hmm.
have grown up in, and that is the most important thing facing the disability community right now. Um, yeah, I personally do not, I don't receive any state or federal benefits, but my private insurance, obviously, the things that Medicare, Medicaid, that they do, it all trickles down to the private
Absolutely.
industry,
Yep.
and it all infers it.
Yep.
So I know that with the roll on Capitol Hill that we did last month, uh, the chair frame material, that was a really big
Yeah.
win now that that's
Mhm.
gone through the House and made its way to the Senate. So that's something that I would be affected by for sure if that trickles
Yep.
down to the private industry. So there's a lot. I think that having more representation in the government, be that
Man,
at the
that's huge.
national, state, local level, of people with disabilities who have a lived experience. It's such a large percent of the population. To not have that as our representative body is kind of criminal in a way.
It's
Yeah,
you're hitting all the right buttons, and it seems like anytime we get on those boxes, I'm tired of being represented by able-bodied individuals that truly
you
do
have to
not
educate over and
over
over
and
and
up
over
right.
again.
But
And it's
they
like, if
we
not the representative themselves, at least have staff members who
Mhm.
are part of that lived experience. And I
yes,
think that should cross party lines. That it should not, it's not a
everywhere.
red or blue thing. It's not a north south thing. It really needs to be, you know, it just needs to be better. It needs to be,
The
yeah,
That's been
Well,
the crux since the dawn of time
yeah.
is, representation. And, when you start throwing in ableism and all these other factors, and, the more I do research, the more I'm seeing it's a devastating factor and
Yeah,
why we have some of the stagnation with the passage of the ADA. And that
yeah, exactly.
slowed down some of our processes.
Yeah,
But
and things need to be updated. I mean, that thing that the ADA was signed in 1990,
90, yes.
and most of the legislation in it was probably built in the late 80s, right?
Yep. Yep.
So those numbers and the stats and the goals of it need to be updated 100%.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes,
yeah,
ma'am. What a lot of folks don't realize is, anybody can join the disabled community at
yes.
any time,
It is the only minority accepting applications every day.
every
Every
day.
day.
And
Every day.
if we live long enough,
Yep.
Yeah,
hopefully,
everyone experiences it.
everyone experiences
Yeah,
aging and mobility issues. And
Yep.
absolutely.
I mean, just think about if all of the homes that are being built in America right
Oh yeah,
now had one entrance that was
yeah, that was
wheelchair
acceptable.
accessible,
Yep.
one bathroom on the first floor, one bedroom on the first floor.
Yeah,
How much that would improve people having the ability to age in place
it is in
to
place
stay
exactly.
in their homes.
It's
And
so interesting. And I think that it's a lot of like people not being willing to accept that life is fragile and
mhm,
Yeah.
bodies are fragile, and you know accept their own mortality in a way.
right,
Oh yeah.
So I don't know how you get that across to people other than through legislation. To be honest,
yep.
you have to force it.
And really, if you're going through, say, a knee replacement
Hmm.
Yep.
or a hip replacement, you're in your late 50s, early 60s, and your bathroom is upstairs, your kitchen is not accessible.
Yeah,
It really starts to create problems for people that if every house being built just had the basic accessibility built into it, how much better that would be. And
yeah,
as we age, trying to maybe rent a property or downsize or move to a different location, how much better that would be for us to be able to have every house have,
yeah. And
just
not have to dump the thousands and thousands of dollars into it.
Yep.
into a remodel.
We bought our first house in 2018. We had been married for 2 years, and we found, my husband is a realtor, as I think I said previously. So he was searching in Aiken, in our
Yep.
area, and of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of houses, he's got the ability to filter it down to houses with accessible features uh,
Yeah.
in his search portal that he uses. And there were 8 houses with a ramp, which was the
Yep.
accessible feature. And we ended up buying one of those 8 that actually had like a roll-in shower that they had built in with the previous owner, and doorways that were widened. Um, and that was a complete godsend because we did not have the
Yes.
capital to dump into renovating a house on top of buying one when we bought that. And then about 3-4 years later, we ended up buying our second house and doing the renovations on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I've now gone through, seen both ends, and
Yep.
man, it is so nice when you just can literally roll right in, and enjoy the house that you want to live in.
But talk
And the
about
fun
that
about
in
it,
general. You were talking about things needing to be addressed and changes being made
yeah,
to have those portals to be able to look. Here's the
yeah,
kicker. Most of these places do not understand the difference between wheelchair usage and ADA. Whether you're
yeah,
talking on vacation trying to get into a cruise ship
oh
and
yeah,
they're booking scooter individuals for full-time wheelchair users, and that becomes
yeah,
a huge nightmare for travelers. Or we looked for
yeah,
over a year to try to find a home. And
yeah,
so what people's understandings of what real wheelchair accessibility is versus just a widened doorway. There's
yeah,
so much more to it than that.
yeah,
Or we
there is.
start talking about restaurants, and we
Yeah.
get there, and we're talking about,
Oh, can I go to the bathroom? I
right,
don't
path
Hmm.
know.
path of travel.
Maybe.
I One of my pet peeves is I absolutely hate getting to a restaurant and that they have to ask people to move. I mean,
Oh yeah,
spotlight me. These guys are enjoying their dinner. Move for
yeah,
the handicapped guy.
yeah,
It just
yeah. Can I get
brings
by
a
you?
negative light. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, do you mind if I snag some of your fries while I go by? You know.
Yeah,
But-
no, yeah, or oh yeah, our place is accessible, but you have to get up a step. Wait, what?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Or let me
Exactly.
take you through the back entrance, through the by the dumpsters and the through the
Right.
kitchen.
Use the
Uh,
staff elevator.
yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah, it's always a little adventure, isn't it, to go out this way?
Yes.
it's Sarah talking about adventures and Mike talking about going out to dinner and
Mm,
things. Sarah, what are some of your hobbies that you like to do in South
mm,
Carolina? And how does that impact being a wheelchair user? And
yeah.
what are some of the things you like to do in the
So
community?
yeah, so I love singing. I've been
Okay.
involved in Aiken in two different choirs. Like one through a church and one a community choir. And the you know, getting to sing is lovely, and it's been I've been lucky enough with this last year to go and sing at Carnegie Hall in New York City,
Oh, wow.
with
Wow.
one of the choirs. That was a real great experience.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, Carnegie Hall, lovely, lovely facility, lovely venue,
But
lovely staff.
but
None of the photos and videos you can see me because I am right behind the orchestra, and everyone else is on a riser, and
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I was there and thought. Um,
Wow.
so that's a little, that was tough, but
Talk about inclusionary.
yeah,
Yes.
We
yeah,
always have to talk about the opposite,
yeah,
exclusionary.
yeah. It was, but it was a great experience to be able to sing there. And other hobbies of mine, I mean, man, I'm so basic. I love being out in my pool. We
Yeah.
we installed a pool lift when we moved out
Yeah.
here. So that was I'm super lucky to have that, and
Right.
with a little help from my husband to get on it. I can get in and out of the pool pretty easily, not having to break his back to lift me up. And so we love hosting and have friends over all the
Yeah.
time.
That's
Aiken
awesome.
is Aiken is a great town. There's always stuff going on, and we're right across the river from Augusta, Georgia. So
Yep.
a lot of great things happening in Augusta and North Augusta. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Beautiful river.
oh
Beautiful
yeah,
riverfront. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a really nice community here, and I'm couldn't be luckier to live where I live.
Sarah, what was the experience like flying to New York, getting
Mm,
on the plane, and how they dealt with the
yeah.
chair, and what was that like for you?
So I've flown a lot in my life,
Yeah.
and I have every experience is different. I
Oh yeah.
specifically, the flights that I were on, I was given options of what flights, what times, and I said, I will do whatever flight that only has me getting on one plane.
Direct
I do
flight.
not want to get,
Yes.
I do not want to lay
Nope.
over. I do not want to have more people touching my chair than
Nope.
necessary, more people touching me than necessary. So yeah, so we super early flight. Getting up there was pretty fine. Getting back, and now I can't remember if it was this flight or if it was the flight that we had in the fall. We went to Vegas for a week in the fall, and one of the either this flight or that flight, one of the times coming home, the one of the women who was helping with the chair to get off the aisle chair
Oh boy.
tipped me over, straight over in the straight jacket,
Right.
move
Nice.
anything, fell right
Hey.
over. Thank God it was like there were a bunch of soft things for me to fall into, but I was like, oh, this is perfect. But
Right.
back when I was, you know, just out of college, I went,
Young and pliable.
yeah. Back when I was out of college, I went to Boston, and on my
Yeah.
way home, when I got to my layover, which another reason I do not like layovers, got to my layover in Atlanta, I got off the plane and my push rim had been ripped
Jeez.
right off the wheel. And I use emotion wheels, which are
Yeah.
Yes.
power assist.
Yeah.
So they're censored wheel push rims.
Right.
So had ripped it right off. And I found it. It was taped together with baggage tape. The
Right.
printed
So
tape.
they acknowledged they did it, just
No,
not
yeah. They're
publicly.
like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, what do you mean sorry? That's like me
Right.
cutting your leg off and saying sorry.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a rough day and a rough couple weeks. Delta eventually, they paid for the replacement, but those wheels
In their due time.
had to come from
Yes.
Germany in 4 weeks. And so in the meantime, I was, push rim was held together with zip ties, and that was fun.
And talk about
Wow.
advocacy that we're talking about real life experiences.
Yeah.
We still have to go through those same aspects
Yeah.
of not being able to access a restroom. Pay
Yeah.
full price, beat
Yeah.
my chair and my
Oh yeah,
legs
to be
up,
able to use yeah.
and then
I
you raise your hand. Hey, I need to potty, and they
yeah,
bring you a sheet.
I've never been on a flight longer than 5 hours, 4 hours,
Mhm.
5 hours, to go east west, right? I would love to go overseas. I would love to go.
Sure.
My sister, they live in the Philippines. I'd love to go visit them. That's a 15-hour flight.
Correct.
I can't fathom how would I know people do it. I know that people do,
Sure.
fly overseas who are in chairs, but I'm like, what kind of pill am I going to have to take to dehydrate myself? Like, what
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
are these crazy things that I'm going to have to put my body through
Yep.
to
That
do
was one.
something that everyone else does?
That
Yep.
was one of. That was one of the things I was going to say, Sarah. Is that you've been on 5-hour flights, but that's 5 hours without going to the restroom. So
Yeah.
Yep.
you have to limit what you
Oh
drink. You
yeah.
have to limit what you eat,
Limit what
and
you drink
Pressure,
all
and
day.
pressure, and
watch pressure. Yep.
God forbid if you actually have to go
Yeah.
or have an accident,
Yeah.
what all that entails,
Or your
Yeah.
chair doesn't make it.
or your chair doesn't
Yeah.
make it at the other end.
Oh, I know.
Sorry, we
And
lost it.
Yeah,
we decided, we're going up to Michigan here in 2 weeks. We
yeah,
were gonna drive. That's kind of my default, if
yep.
possible, drive. But ended up deciding last minute that we're gonna fly now. So I found a direct flight out of Charlotte, Charlotte to Grand Rapids. So that'll
But
be
what
great.
kind of drive time would that be?
Oh, it would have been 14 and a half hours. We were going to
Right.
split it into 2 days.
Hmm.
And that would have been, 2 days up, 2 days back. And that's just a
But
lot of time in the
but think
car.
about how crazy that sounds, Sarah. Not to cut
Isn't
you
it
off.
crazy? I
It
know.
is, but
It is.
it's safer and it's an easier option.
I know.
Anytime we're going to Texas, yes, I can leave GSP and be there in 2.5
Yep.
hours. I would rather take the 16-hour car ride.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it's just so many unknowns.
we just did the 9.5 hour drive to New Orleans. We go down to Florida when we go
Yep.
on cruises.
Yep.
It's a 9 hour drive, maybe 14 hours. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my wife and I have a 12-hour limit that
Yeah.
we can go anywhere in a 12-hour radius because that's what we can drive in a day.
yeah.
And
Yep.
one of the reasons why is, when you get to Michigan for the pageant, you're going to have to rent an accessible vehicle.
Well, we're it's a little different for the pageant. We're pretty much cloistered into the
So-
hotel, and
so they'll be able to pick you up.
yeah, they arrange
that
for
kind of thing.
transportation to we get like a fun day. We're going to some undisclosed location for something.
And
So
they're fancy over there, Greg. Man,
yeah,
we're on the other side of that, dude.
talk
we were, and thank God my husband's coming, and he would, be able to.
assist.
He can lift me a few times and
Yeah.
not have it be, terrible. But that,
Well,
he's not getting any younger himself. So
well,
There
Sarah,
you go.
talking about the pageant coming up in Michigan for the
yeah,
national title, how does that work?
mm,
Can we see it online? How would
yeah,
we be able to view it? And take us
yeah.
through that process, if you would.
Yeah, so it's a full week of events. So we will get there on Sunday and we will leave the following Sunday. Monday, it all starts. We've got like welcome kind of informational meeting that we'll have to do. And then Tuesday and Tuesday is like I said, there's like a fun day, family kind of thing where we go to some location and experience like Grand Rapids, like what the city has to offer. And then Wednesday and Thursday are interview days. So we will each individually meet with a panel of judges and be asked questions about the disability community, about advocacy work, about ourselves, about our platforms. And then Friday night is the platform speech night. So every contestant will give their platform speech. I believe it has to be a minute and a half to 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then on Saturday night is the crowning night. So top five, I believe, will be announced and they'll do live interview questions and then the crowning at the end of the evening. And then Saturday is like a farewell brunch and then everybody leaves in the afternoon. And then throughout the evenings on the rest of like the first couple of days are like fun theme nights that we get to do. And yeah, it's just going to be a lot of, I think, great fellowship, get to be part of
Yeah.
a sisterhood. There's some really fun like traditions, like pin trading is one of them. So I've got 50 pins of South Carolina that one of
Yeah,
our
yeah.
local representatives, Charlie Hart, helped me get those pins so that I can give them to the other contestants. And
Good
yeah,
for you.
yeah,
Well,
What
I was running some of these questions through my mind, and then I bounced them off my wife, and
yeah,
here I am. I've got daughter, and so I'm thinking about pageants and how they
yeah,
work traditionally. So some of the questions came up like who chooses your dresses, but
mm,
then my mind I started thinking, okay, if this is time constraint and this is
mm,
around disabilities, is there a
mm.
time frame in which you can like change dresses,
No,
and how do you do that behind the
no.
scenes?
So there's no like quick change
Right,
competition.
right, right.
No, but everyone's free to wear whatever dress they want. Our platform speech night is semi-formal attire,
Okay.
and then the crowning night is formal gown. So I've got a great dress that I've owned for many years and never got tailored because it was way too long. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll just wear that one. So I didn't have to even buy a new dress.
There
That's
you
Um,
go.
awesome.
I've got lots of dresses in my closet. I really should never need to buy a new dress ever in my entire life, ever again. So yeah, it'll be great. I'll put it on early in the evening and then be able to wear it the rest of the night, not have to worry about
Gotcha.
What
change.
a great opportunity to network with
Yeah.
Yes.
the women that are making a difference throughout the country.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet all the people that run the organization at the national level too.
Yes.
Really impressive women.
Absolutely. I mean, just to have the opportunity to be in the same room as the other women and be able to, kind of pick their brains about what they're advocating about and,
Yeah,
kind of share your experiences on, we're seeing the same thing in South Carolina. How are you dealing with it in, California or
yeah,
Arizona? And to be able to get some great ideas and bring those back home to your home state and to
yeah,
share those with the folks around you. I think that's amazing. And Sarah, I know that our hour goes by so quickly. It's amazing. We'd love to talk with you for another hour or two, but I want to give you the opportunity too to kind of let you know or let people know how they can get a hold of you, or if they have a question, how would it be best to talk with you?
Yeah, people can follow me on Instagram at Miss Wheelchair SC 2026. They can also find me on Facebook, Miss Wheelchair SC 2026, or they can find my personal Facebook, Sarah Kinney. Yeah, I've been sharing my journey there and hopefully going to share a little more like live kind of stuff the
Yeah.
week we're up there in Michigan. You know, it's I've been trying to balance that and the competition stuff and my like full-time job. So that week
Yes.
I'll be like away from my full-time job for the week, so I'll have a lot more time to focus on it. So yeah, it'll be great.
Well, Sarah, you're a wealth of knowledge, and we absolutely enjoyed spending some time with you. I know
Yeah,
you're extremely busy, but I had one more question for you, and then
yeah,
we'll leave you alone for the day.
yeah.
If you had a young lady that was
Mm,
newer to either injury or that was seeking an opportunity for
mm,
pageants or just outreach, if you
yeah.
if you had a young lady that you could mentor to, what would be some of the advice you would give her?
Hmm. I would say find the community that looks like you.
Mm.
I think that representation is the most confidence building thing that you can do. And so that's fill your feed with people that are living the life that you aspire to be living, and who are, representing your community in a positive way. So there's so many great women on Instagram and on Facebook that really are sharing their lives from a seated position, or other disabilities as well, right?
Sure.
So yeah, there are so many great people out there that you can look up to and find ways to get involved in the things that they're working on.
Sarah, we wish you all the best
Thanks
in
so
Michigan at the
much.
Nationals, and thank you again for taking the time out of your day.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
I know you and Mike have been friends for a while, but this was our first opportunity to talk, and I just got so much out of speaking with you, and I'm so glad to know you and to listen to what you have going on. So
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. And yeah, would love to do this again. Maybe when I win the national title.
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, you heard it first, Greg. We're gonna get her back on just as soon as that title's in hand.